Ever wonder how some financial services and fintech leaders learned about money when they were kids? Well, we've asked them 4 important questions to get their answers, and you definitely want to hear them. Join me today as we hear from Chelsea Ransom Cooper, co-founder and chief financial planning officer at Zenith Wealth Partners. Hey everyone, Mac Gardner here, author of Motivate Your Money and the global best-selling children's book, The 4 Money Bears. I am joined today by the one, the only, Chelsea Ransom Cooper. Chelsea, who is the Chief Financial Planning Officer at Zenith Wealth Partners. Chelsea, thanks for joining us today.
Yes, thank you so much for having me.
So Chelsea, for folks who do not know who you are, living under those rocks and aren't in this wealth management financial planning space, please take a little bit of time and tell us a little about yourself and your firm.
Yeah, absolutely. So as Mac mentioned, my name is Chelsea Ransom Cooper. It's a very long name, but I think it also is a great reflection of who I am in my money journey, which I'm excited to share about. But prior to that, I am the Chief Financial Planning Officer, and I'm also a certified financial planner. I actually got started in public accounting when I first graduated college, and was working directly with businesses. And Mac, I tell you, as soon as I got into that profession, I realized I was like, oh, I made a mistake. This is not where I'm supposed to be.
You want to deal with people, not business?
Exactly. I realized that I truly enjoyed like finance and the problem solving component, but not necessarily for like big, large institutions, but actually helping people directly. So I actually learned about the financial planning profession from a friend of mine, shout out Brian Murray, where he taught me everything about financial planning. He took me to dinner one day. We talked about RIAs, wirehouses, broker dealers,
All the channels.
all the channels. And he's like, more than anything, Chelsea, you need your Series 65 and you need to get your CFP. And I feel like that really was the spark that I needed to understand, like, hey, there was space for me in this profession and I could be successful.
Oh, for sure.
And then I worked at a high net worth wealth management firm where they specifically worked with clients who had $1 million and above. So that was really my first opportunity in the profession, where I was able to work with those clients, helping them with financial planning, retirement planning, portfolio management. But I always say 2020, the world reset, and I think my life reset as well, where I looked around and I started to realize, like, you know, I wasn't really helping the people that inspired me to be in this profession in the first place.
Yep.
I was doing well, making good money, enjoying the work, but I didn't feel motivated or passionate about the work that I was doing. And I really wanted to lean in and work with the people who inspired me to be a CFP or be in the profession in the first place. So about a year before that, I had actually met Jason Ray, who is the Chief Investment Officer at Zenith Wealth Partners. And he felt...
Shout out, Jason. Good dude.
Yeah. Shout out, Jason, too. And he felt the same way. And we decided to partner on this journey together to create a very intentional and thoughtful firm to help provide high quality, relatable financial advice without any minimums to help people on their wealth building journey. So we really focus on ideally being people's first financial advisors and hopefully their last too.
Nice.
But we know that if they can have a positive relationship with money and a positive relationship with having that thought partner and that accountability partner, then that can really help them achieve their goals too.
Thank you for sharing that, because so many times we hear people from diverse backgrounds sort of fall into this business. It's not something that mom and dad did. It's not something the family member did. So thanks for sharing your journey. And I think a lot of what you mentioned, Chelsea, deals with the fact that we are educators. We're rolling out the 4 Money Bears, a Berryville game. It's going to be a first of its kind game that really helps young people and old when it comes to managing money. It's got to have entrepreneurship aspects. It's got to have money, financial planning aspects to it. And so what we're really trying to get to today with these interviews is to really find out from folks, industry leaders, what your childhood looked like when it came to money. So ready for the first question?
I'm ready. Let's get it.
All right. So Chelsea, what is your first or your earliest memory when it comes to money education, financial education?
So my first money memory truly is, I was one of those kids that had one of those cars. I called them the Flintstone cars, where you actually like use your feet to kind of move it around. And I would ride it around the house and in the hallways in our building. And I would pick up money. I would literally pick up money. And it was always a joke in the family that, like, look in the little trunk of the car. Like, Chelsea's got some quarters, some coins. She's got a basket in there. But my first memory around money was like, hey, like, you need to collect it. Like, money is a good thing. It's a positive thing if you have a lot of it. So that
Very
was really
good.
kind of my first relationship with money, even as silly as it was. that
No,
I,
that's actually pretty profound because as soon as you shared that story, I was like, okay, so she's been collecting money. Now she's helping other people collect their money and manage their money. So it's amazing how these parallels lead to one, your relationship with money, and two, potentially your career path.
yeah.
Which is pretty well. So, deeper question then, question number two, Chelsea. What did money mean to your family when you were growing up? Tell me a little bit about that. What did it represent in your home as a child?
Yeah, so I grew up with my mom. My parents were split up. And I vividly remembered, and I recently came to this realization that I really always had the assumption that money creates conflict. And the way to avoid the conflict is to have more money. And as you can imagine, two parents who are split up trying to raise one child, there's a lot of like money frustrations, tough money conversations that frankly, even sometimes I was in the middle of. And I think at a young age, I realized like to stop the arguing, to stop the conflict, I need to have money. So like, in a joking way, I think that's what I was doing with that little blue car was like, okay, if I get money, then they stop arguing, then all these conflicts kind of stop and change. I've done my own therapy to realize that with time, but
That is no, that's a great take, Josie. It really is. During this interview process, I've been fortunate. When you've been in the business for as long as we have, and you're coming up on your third decade doing this, you hear a lot of stories, and there is a very deep connection between money and your behaviors and the emotion. On the copy of my first book, it says your feelings should be emotional, but your finances should be black and white. But they're connected, and so it's interesting to hear that those connections in your life early have developed into, again, what you're doing now. You're helping people manage their money.
yeah. And I think that's where that passion came from too, right? So once I realized, and it always comes back to my mom. I always say like my mom was the first person. She's a fashion designer. Like she always says she has the other side of the brain where I'm more of like the technical, the analysis. And I always say she tried her best. But like there's certain things that you don't know, like it's just not your zone of genius. So I think I realized that, well, money, if I could help her with money, then I could probably help more people too, right? So that they don't have the same feeling that I have or that she has.
Yeah, great point. All right, so that leads us into the next question, which is, you have now picked up all these great tools and you are now responsible for helping big people. How do you think we should teach young people about money?
So I think a great way, of course, is to start having conversations. Like I think that's table stakes, is to have more conversations about money. But I think it's also to encourage kids to understand, a lot of the opportunities that they're going to be presented in life and kind of gamify it like a pros and cons way. So let me paint a picture. So I've actually been helping some of my younger cousins as they've been trying to get a better handle of money. And their parents were like, Chelsea, we really want them to understand like saving and investing and what does it look like. So we set up small investment accounts for them where they put the money in. They get to choose the stocks that they wanted in there. I did put some ETFs in there to balance it out. So
you got to have some broad exposure.
But they got to pick the stocks. And then whenever they got more money, they would come to me and we'd have a conversation. I was like, would you rather put it in the account, look at where the account is now, or would you rather spend it on something? And I could see the gears in their mind as they had to make that decision of like, okay, do I want to put it in here? I see the account is going up. I like this feeling. Or do I want to spend it on something that maybe is a short-term decision or a short-term want, but I don't really need it.
But it's a depreciating asset too, potentially.
Exactly. And the account is a depreciating asset. Absolutely. So I think having those scenarios where they're doing the pros and cons of their decisions helps them understand how they're going to have to make probably hundreds, if not thousands, of decisions like that in their life as well. And I've just been seeing how it's been changing their perception and their relationship with money.
What I really like about what you're doing with your family members is you are explaining to them that they have options. I talk about the 3 R's when it comes to money, our relationship with money. The first R is you realize what money is. Hey, this is money. Okay, yeah, it's a piece of paper. I can do stuff with it. Second R is you recognize what it does. All right? And then the third R is you then rationalize how to use it. And if no one places those options in front of you, and if you think that your options with money is binary, where you can just either spend it or save it, and no one says, hey, you've got this other option, it can actually work for you, or you can give it away. You actually have 4 options when it comes to money. That, I think, is one of the biggest contributors to success for young people, and starting it early. Have the conversations, tell them that they're options, and then let them run.
Yeah.
That's awesome. All right. So you are a CFP. You are helping to run a very successful, thriving practice. Kudos to you. This is the last question. You ready?
Let's do it.
All right. Chelsea, please share the best advice you've been given when it comes to money.
So the best advice I've ever received, and I still use it to this day, is it was called, I think it was the 24-hour or 48-hour rule. Where basically, if you want to purchase something, you walk away from it from 24 to 48 hours. And if you still remember it and you're still thinking about it, then you should go back and consider purchasing it. But I promise, Mac, 9 out of 10 times I forget about the thing every single time. But that was truly like the best advice that I received, was like, put it in the cart, walk away. Or just say, back before Amazon and all the things, it was, okay, come back to the store next week if you really want it. And I promise I never went back to the store.
Yeah. I love it. Was it a want or was it a need? And then
Exactly.
that lines it up right there really easily. If 48 hours, it ain't in my pocket, or it's not on my body, or it's not in my house, it was probably a want.
Exactly.
That's a very powerful. All right. Chelsea, you are doing some amazing things for our industry. I want to thank you again for carving out a bit of time. As we wrap up, anything that you'd like to share with our viewers?
Yeah, I mean, I think first and foremost, having these conversations is incredibly important. And then just keep in mind that this is a journey. It is planning. It is a part of the process. Even though you may feel like you're achieving or you're reaching success in your relationship with money today, life changes, life evolves. This is something that we're continuously working on. So be patient with yourself, be kind to yourself, but also reward yourself when good things happen too.
I love that. Great words, great closing words. Chelsea, I'd like to thank you again for your time. As I like to say, the journey continues. Take care. Thanks for joining us today. We hope you'll join us for our next engaging episode. Be sure to follow us on LinkedIn and visit www.the4moneybears.com.